ready?
Yeah. Thanks.
Let's bring this meeting of the Falmouth Board of Health to order, September 29th, 2025. Would someone like to read the mission statement?
Sure, I can read it. The mission of the Falmouth Board of Health is to protect and promote the health, safety, and well-being of the residents and visitors to the town of Falmouth. Primary functions of the Board of Health to achieve our mission are to prevent and control disease, enforce state and local regulations, promulgate local health regulations, identify and protect from environmental hazards, and advocate for a healthy community.
Thanks, George. And is anyone recording? Where the CTV is recording, and the recording secretary is, as well as the health agent. Okay. And a brief statement on rules of behavior. Thank you to the members of the public for attending the meeting, this meeting of the Board of Health. Public comments will be allowed at the discretion of the chair as time allows and will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Before providing comments, please state your full name. All comments must be in a respectful manner, and public comments on items not on the agenda cannot be discussed today, but could be added to a future agenda. Does anyone on the board or in the audience have any public comments? Okay, and so we'll go to our first item, 10 Vesper Avenue. This is continued from 9/15/2025.
Good evening.
Evening.
Scott Miccile, professional engineer representing the buyer in this case. The meeting was continued for a few items. One was notification to abutters, which I have the green cards here. And a couple of plan revisions. One was adding a locus to the plan. Adding a professional land surveyor stamp to the plan. So those both occurred. There was also one other comment that the board had brought up about the feasibility of moving the septic tank. And I took a second look at that, and initially, obviously you can't redo the plumbing, but I was able to move the tank and just pipe it outside. So by moving the tank to the right side of the house, the variance requests were increased, I guess you would call it. Instead of needing 3.5 feet to the lot line, now it's 5, and 1.5 to the foundation is now 6.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jed.
Do you have an inspection report? I see the details, but I don't see it listed on the marking the plan.
It's a little difficult to read. There are 4 monitoring wells. These 4 dots, and I have 1 more.
Gotcha. And that's this detail to this.
Yes.
I have one other. So, given that this is close to the harbor, which is a nitrogen-sensitive area, you don't have marked on here the potential location for an IA septic component, or not? Obviously, it's not required. You're not being required to install one, but those regulations do require that you put it on the plan.
Okay, so even if it's not in your proposed IA,
even if you are not required at this particular instance, you still need to have it locatable on the plan. Kevin, for a second.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Is
Scott.
it outside of a nitrogen-sensitive area in the heights?
Yeah,
It's outside of a nitrogen-sensitive area?
It's right across the street. It's like a block. It's like one building from Grand. That's right. That's the nitrogen sensitive areas up.
Go down and the other wrinkle.
Yeah, I know, but it's also in the. Which one? Mr. Bond?
This is draft right there.
Oh, He misses it.
I thought
He misses it.
Because I remember looking at it, it's out by like about 87 feet.
Oh, you miss it. Okay, never mind then. I withdraw that.
Okay. Good to check.
Because he's only, it's only elevation 9, so I was like, wait, it's not up on the heights.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions?
Are we okay with the setback to the crawl space? Do you want to memorate first, or are you all right?
I think it probably should be remembered. What's the elevation? That's what I was trying to pick out. What the elevation of that is below the crawl space, but
Oh.
you're right on it. So
7.
I think the footing is there, the crawl space is way up there.
Depicted above it.
Does show it above it.
Invert.
Say the top of the stone is at 8, and
Right.
8 plus 8 at the cast iron, and then there's dirt above that in the crawl space.
Right, we don't have a dimension on depth below crawl space grade there, but
The pipe is buried in the crawl space, but I don't. So
It's deeper, it might be okay.
Yeah, might be right, yeah.
well, as long
It's
as
a
it's
very-
buried at least,
The bottom
0.8
of the
feet
bed
down.
is at 7.
oh yeah, the bottom of the
The
bed.
bottom of the bed is at 7,
7.
and the invert, in the pipe is 8.8.
8.8, yeah.
So that's, what's the,
That's the bottom of the crawl.
there's the bottom of the crawl space, and the finished, so, yeah, so that's this 9.8, so what's a 4, it's probably 4 foot, right?
Yeah. So
4 foot 5 would be 5, right? Ish.
on the leach field, it's not were you worried about the footing, or you worried about the?
I don't know where you, I don't know how to do this.
Because the leach field is at 8, elevation 8 at the top of it.
At the top.
Right.
Right, the bottom is at 7.
The cast iron comes out of the house and is buried by, it looks like, something anyhow inside the house,
Right,
by at least 0.8 feet.
if it's at least 0.8 feet, then,
Right.
right, of burial.
So the only thing I was looking for, sir, is the description on your monitoring wells need to be within 3 inches, your inspection ports should be within 3 inches of grade.
okay.
Yeah, he has 6 here. There's something wrong.
I didn't see where those were described, where the elevation of them was described, because it's not on the,
I think that's what he's labeled as observation wells, to the right of the system profile. Right underneath your thumb, right thumb.
oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, 6-inch banks, it should be 3-inch
Right.
banks, according to Title 5.
All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve that minor addition to instruct the contractor that the observation ports would be within 3 inches of grade. Approve the variances with the standard set of conditions.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, our next item is 17 Green Pond Road, continued from July 14th and July 28th. Who we have representing?
Thank you for the recommended Tom Bunker to BSS Design, and Michael Miccile with Falmouth Engineering, representing Nick Peters, doing it here last time. Obviously, he can't grant variances, creating our own hardship, which in this case was a cellar wall, foundation wall. So we did, whether we can get a house on the property, just on piers, so there's no 20-foot setback to a cellar wall or 10-foot setback to a crawl space. So the house can be done, but you'll have no storage, a very small house, as you can see, with no storage. And so we suggested that you would entertain the request to then, on environmental grounds, that is to move the SAS 9 feet further from wetlands. But that brings it 9 feet closer to the street line of Green Pond Road, which then will have the SAS only, whichever I had here on the second plan, which is the SAS 3 feet from the street line, and the reserve area only 1 foot from the street line. We have those variances, 7 feet for the SAS and 9-foot variance for the street line. As we noted previously, the water main is on the east side of the road. We're on the west, so it's not within 10 feet of the water main. This will not affect any site of anybody else's septic system, being too close to the septic system, either neighbors to the north or south, or and so see it's a win-win, environmental win, for moving it further from the wetland. We're 17 feet from the groundwater, 17 feet vertically, and this will end up being 121 feet horizontally to the nearest wetland. And so we request that we could get this variance so that the owner can have a basement for a little bit of storage, and we see it as a sort of win-win. No downside environmentally. It's a plus environmentally, and you can get a little basement for a very small house.
And the owner has not created the need for his own variance.
He has not created it. He can fit a house. He doesn't want a house on piers,
Yeah.
but it fits on the lot that way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anything from the board?
Well, finding that the owner has demonstrated that they could put the house without variances, I would motion to grant the variances, standard set of conditions, plus the registering with the deed that this is to be only a one-bedroom house, and a standard set of conditions.
George, can I add a finding?
Sure.
That this is,
You need a second first?
I think you could add a finding. I'll add it if you tell me what you want to add.
well, finding that it is farther away from the wetlands resource.
Yeah.
So it is an improved environmentally better, in addition to being able to fit it.
So finding that the granting of a variance actually allows for better environmental protection, yes.
Yes, okay. Second.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Make one comment. This is a two-bedroom system. He does have a one-bedroom house shown on the plan.
That's right, it's a one-bedroom house.
If we...
Because we're not allowed to okay a one-bedroom system. Minimum in the code and the minimum allowed, but it's a one-bedroom house.
Can that be, with some change to plans, be a two-bedroom house? Because we have a two-bedroom
The
system.
motion is there, somebody seconded it for discussion. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I'm open to the discussion, but
Yeah. So the motion that you just made said it would be deed restricted.
Correct.
One bedroom.
One bedroom house.
because the applicant came to us, and it is a tight situation, and we acquiesced for having some storage in the house, not a second bedroom in the house, but that's how it had been presented that he could do something without variances. The board is not allowed, Title V doesn't allow us to issue a permit for one-bedroom system,
Right.
but says nothing about the restriction of use of the house.
I had a comment.
Go ahead.
In the future, if some situation arose, he has a two-bedroom capacity system. If something that I'm not able to think of right now happened, where there was a way to get two bedrooms in the house, he could come back. He wouldn't be
Certainly
asking
could.
for more variances because he's already, we can't make the system smaller than a two-bedroom capacity.
You certainly could come
There could
back
be
for
some-
variance.
Way that I can't think of right now to get a second
But
bed.
that would be an
But it-
increase in flow.
I can't
right?
even,
At that point, that
Yeah.
would be an increase in flow.
It would
Meaning,
be.
so whatever happens at the time of that circumstance that you cannot imagine, and neither me on my best day could imagine, anybody can apply for variance.
well, there could be like a change in zoning where the building's gonna be taller. I don't know, and you could put a
Well,
sentence to it.
ADU,
Well,
so,
We're,
but anyway, we're speculating a long way.
well,
yes,
So the question
we
is,
have right before us a proposal, right before us a motion. It's been seconded and we've been discussing it, but
we appreciate,
certainly-
yeah, I'm sure the owner appreciates getting this variance on environmental grounds so he can build something with a basement. But again, it is a two-bedroom system, so we wouldn't be increasing the flow above the size of the system that's designed on the lot.
and that would be
But
the
it's-
argument you would make if you came back for variance.
Yeah, but would there be a variance? I was just,
I don't know, what is going to happen that will allow him to go up at 450 square foot footprint? I
if you're
don't
talking
know.
about a zoning or some other variance, it wouldn't be a health variance to come back with this that I would there.
right, I think you're saying the
Correct.
footprint of the building would not allow, as it stands,
Right.
a second bedroom.
Well, well, there is an option for a third floor, but but he can come back to try to get a bedroom number 2.
So is the question are you requesting that we remove the deed restriction language
You
from?
could certainly, well, I thought you could certainly restrict it
Okay.
to 2 bedrooms, but,
Well, anything under 330, 3-bedroom, will need a deed restriction. And then it's a question of you want to allow 2 today or 1 today for the bedrooms. I think it's more than one direct question. But the flow, the variance, the deed restriction is required based on the flow, the size of the SAs.
So the question to us is whether or not it's a deed restricted to or district to what?
Right.
But, sorry, Scott, you just said, and I'm not remembering why it was deed restricted to 1 in the first place.
That was the
That
application
was the
we had to
application, yeah.
build this house.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And all of that was sort of implicit in the hearings that we've held so far. Because it said, I want to build something,
Yeah,
and we had the applicant before us when he said, wow, if it was a 1-bedroom house he could get, that's what he'd get.
yeah, I remember that, yeah. Okay. So, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Okay. Our next item is 115 Teaticket Path, Irrigation Well Variance Request. Do we have someone here?
No. Just provided this paperwork. If you read his letter, he essentially says that there's no septics within 40 feet. You need 10-foot setback to a septic on the other person's property, so that would give you 50. This is also going to be sewered. The well now looks like it's in the basement, just outside the basement for irrigation. And yes, that place, the area will be sewered. That's part of the TASA.
But we don't know the distance to the existing septic.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at this one. Yeah,
Well,
it's
it's shown on the plan, the existing septic is there. It's red, it's in the front yard.
Yeah, I see that.
So what you
There's no
could do
scale.
is to allow it once the septic is abandoned. That would be a possibility for you guys to do that.
Right, because it's
Right.
too close right now.
It
Right.
is.
It's hard to know right now.
Well, yeah, looks too
We're looking at 115 Teaticket Path, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, there is, I
Sorry,
mean,
Michelle, we're good.
you can see a lot line scaled at 50 feet here. So it looks like the septic is 25,
Yeah.
maybe, off of
If
that
that.
proposed. Yeah.
Where's the 50-foot lot line?
The north, right here. kind of.
Here,
Yeah, okay.
there to there, 50,
Yeah, so it's a lot less than 50.
yes.
Yeah, so it can't be allowed right now.
Yeah,
Not in the proposed location, no.
Right.
yeah. We could do what Scott suggested.
Yeah, he does mention in his letter it's more than 20 feet,
Okay.
which is about right.
Mhm.
So you'd be granting, if you're going to grant it, you'd be granting lot line separate setbacks of approximately 10 feet and a 30-foot setback to the individual septic system. If you don't want to do that, that other option would work. You could waive that upon abandonment. It's up to you.
How most likely would it be abandoned?
2 years. 3, you know, they're gonna be starting probably with it too. So it's a good question of when they get to that particular part of the street, right? So I'm not quite sure.
Can I ask Scott, when we've had a few of these people putting in irrigation wells,
Yeah.
it's probably great in areas where there's a lot of nitrogen loading anyhow, because they're
Yeah.
probably fertigating. But do you go out and inspect these when the well is installed to make sure that our regulation is adhered to as far as placement of signs and things like that?
We should be doing that. It's usually part of the process. It is difficult to know when well drillers drill. Well drillers are not as easy to deal with.
So they don't come to you for that permit?
No, they get a permit from us. Their installation, a lot of times they never contact us again, and we have a hard time finding them for all the paperwork at the end. It's not like septic installers. So we've been working on the 5 well drillers that exist on the Cape to actually come in with the paperwork after the fact. So yeah, we would do it if we were notified. There is a problem, and actually I was talking, it's gonna be one of the things once we hire the assistant, is to button up these irrigation wells to make sure we can get out there and see the placards. So it's hit or miss with what happens at the end on some of these. The ones that we've done more, you know, especially the ones that were done several years ago, especially those during COVID. But well drillers, we have a hard time getting anything out of them. We don't license them either.
And they don't have to pull a plumbing permit to do any of this?
I mean, not if it's inside, not if it's outside the house. I mean, you're not running this in and commingling it. You shouldn't be running this into the house, but usually there's something
You
in the
shouldn't
garage.
be that, I agree.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be.
They should-
And
usually
this
they run
one
to the
was
garage.
inside the house already.
Yeah, this was back before permits were issued, you know, this is back original to the house. I don't think we ever issued a permit for this. This is probably, you said about 50 years or so? Yeah, so the house was built in 1920, and the water was not available for 50 years after that. So that's what they were using for drinking water, was a irrigation well outside the fountain, inside the house. Then when town water came in, whatever it came in, probably the 7, right around 1970, would probably be around the right time, they tied into town water and abandoned the well.
Well, I mean, if it's gonna be 2 or more years, then might as well address it then. Right?
Yeah.
We know the septic system's actually been
Right.
Yeah, this would be a tough one for us to track.
Yeah,
So you're saying to deny this until it's,
Correct, until we can achieve
is
a
that,
proper
is
setback.
that a motion somebody made?
do we have a motion?
Well, we could permit it in 2 years for not to be installed, but then Yeah,
Yeah.
But then it's hard to track.
It's hard to track.
That is a little
Yeah.
difficult to track.
Right,
right.
yeah. So I think we have a motion to deny this application. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say, do we have a motion to it?
Amy's about to make one.
Yeah, to deny installation or conversion of this drinking water well to an irrigation well until the existing septic system is abandoned or a suitable setback from the septic system can be achieved.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, what time is it? 6 o'clock. Too early. Do we have a motion to
Take out of order.
take out of order from new business and schedule future meetings, a discussion of whether we should discuss further within the board the letter to be written regarding artificial turf fields.
Motion to take out of order the new business and schedule future meetings topic to include the turf opinion letter.
You got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the next meeting is when?
So, sorry, Scott?
Next
So the
meeting.
next meeting, you want to discuss the letter? Yeah.
Well, if we do we, Amy, you're working on that letter?
You have it.
Oh, I didn't see
It was
it.
handed out.
Oh.
It's on your file.
Oh,
That was here today, so I
okay.
drafted it, Jen reviewed it.
Yeah, some
Quickly.
comments.
Yeah, and I incorporated
Oh, you
it,
did?
accepted, and sent to
Yeah, it's not on
Scott.
our agenda, so we can't really talk
Correct.
about the details.
Right,
But we should
but we can decide about
review it
the
and,
content of future agendas, and the question is, do we put this on a future agenda, or is it complete?
Well, if we discuss whether it's complete, we're discussing something
Correct.
on
so
it.
then we need to put it on the next
Well,
agenda.
I haven't even seen it, so I can talk
Correct.
about it if I want. But,
Yeah, so I think we should put it on our next agenda to
Okay.
discuss. It might be very briefly, but it allows us to discuss it.
When is our next meeting?
Yeah,
I don't think we have it scheduled.
We don't have it scheduled. 2 weeks. 2 weeks would be the 13th, which is a holiday.
August/Indigenous Peoples'
Yeah.
Day. So,
3 weeks is the 20th.
How busy are we, Scott?
Whatever you want. I don't know. We've cleared everything that's on the, everything that's given to me. Usually the fall can be on the busier end for septics anyway, but,
October 20th?
Yeah. Okay, well, that ate up 3 minutes.
Or minutes, I suppose.
Yeah, it's kind of boring for other people to watch, but yeah, we can do that.
So, just to explain
If
to
you
everybody.
recess, I have to shut this off, so just let me know.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
We have a public hearing scheduled at 6:30, and so we can't open the public hearing until 6:30, just to let you go.
touch that.
Can we see if they're here? I'm here. Oh,
We could
great.
try. We might have to
Well,
temporarily
you are-
adjourn that.
Yeah, well, you are allowed to go, you don't have to start, you can't start the meeting early, you can start the hearing late.
Okay.
All right,
You don't have to start the meeting, yeah, as long as the hearing's not early, that's what I've been told.
all right.
I mean, as close as possible. I mean, if you look like you're gonna go another half hour, maybe you just table and come back.
Mhm. All right, do we have a motion to bring that discussion forward?
Motion to bring the McDonald's 263 Teaticket Highway discussion forward from its 7:10 time.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have someone here representing?
Yes.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name's Alexandra. I'm here on behalf of the owner, Mark McBee.
Okay.
You know, essentially, we're looking for variance. This is gonna be very, financial hardship for us to accommodate. The cost of the packaging, we would have to remodel the lobby, the back area, the dining, the sink and the storage area, we'd have to retrain crew. We would have to close, we'd lose revenue. Due to the increased cost of the materials, we may have to increase prices. It would be a real undue financial hardship on the business, which we are a small business, single owner operator, so we're looking for an exception on that.
So I think we should move through, a number of the items in the letter are actually waiver requests, which don't come to the board, right? Or do you want them to come to the board? The variance request comes to the board.
Yeah, you could do the variances, you could do the part that you need to do as variances, and we can do the waivers as to be consistent with what we're doing with everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe if I could just ask, so how much flexibility do you have in terms of being a franchise of a larger corporation? How much flexibility do you have in terms of materials?
Not much. We're not allowed to use anything outside of the McDonald system. For branding, food safety, if we run out of something, we're not allowed to go to the store and buy it for food safety. Years and years ago, we did have a setup in the lobby for like the sauces, but McDonald's completely pulled out of that entire scenario due to food safety. Unfortunately, we don't know what people are doing in the lobby with things, so we're really limited, within the McDonald's system.
Some of the materials are compostable already, I saw in your letter.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So just following up on what you just said, you said you had a sauce area in the lobby previously, so that was...
We're talking like 15 years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
A long
So-
time ago.
The pumps
Mhm.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering what was dispensed there. Was that ketchup, mustard,
Ketchup, sweet and
all the
sour.
sauces? Oh, all the sauces?
That's it. No, we didn't
Oh.
have, they don't even make all the sauces. That's
Okay.
not even a thing, unfortunately.
But you didn't ask about
Ketchup or
ketchup specifically in here.
No.
So that you
Ketchup
can,
was something we had prior to COVID, so we could put that back into place.
That's good.
But as far as all the varying sauces that we have, we would...
too much variety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we want to work through
Yeah, that'd be great.
condiment packets, which is a waiver item, or do we want to focus on the variance item?
Well, the waivers are, we just said are Scott.
Correct.
Right, the health agent.
Yeah.
So we delegated that authority, so we probably
Should just focus on
should
the
focus on the
variance
variances.
Yeah.
request. And so that is item 4 in the letter?
Well, number 2, right? Polypropylene number 5.
Oh, sorry, I crossed that
Yeah,
out.
it
The
says
waiver,
number
because
2.
that should be a waiver
Oh, that should be a
request
waiver?
also.
Oh, number 2 is a waiver?
Yeah, the use of 1, 2, and 5
Right,
plastics can be through the waiver process.
because that one was particularly challenging to solve.
Right. Caps.
So I'm sorry, you're saying number 2 is a waiver, not
Correct.
variance,
Rather than a
okay.
variance.
We should move past
And-
that.
Move
Right.
past that,
Yep.
3 to 4, variance request is number 4, is that,
That's correct.
okay.
So the limited time promotional materials. And a question on that, the time frame given for the promotional period is October 1st through May 31st, is that correct?
Mhm.
So 7 months,
Monopoly.
and it runs for that long, every year?
Not sure. It's the first time we've had it back in 9 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's a long period. Can you tell us what uncoated kraft, like, starting at the top of the bulleted list, Big Mac cartons, F-fluted uncoated kraft? I'm just not sure what that is.
I assume that would be what we would be replacing it with. I'm not sure, actually.
Okay.
I think it's the
or what we currently have, like the
clamshell.
box.
I think it's
Yeah.
the little box.
But is it cardboard?
It's F-flute uncoated craft.
I don't know what.
Spelled with a
I
K.
don't know what that is either.
Craft is a type of paper. It's a,
Yeah, craft.
it's,
Okay, so
Yeah.
uncoated paper would be acceptable.
It's like the Big Mac, the fish, the nuggets, the boxes.
Right, and those are all effectively a cardboard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
coated
craft is
cardboard.
a cardboard.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
basically, it's a type of, it's, yeah. I don't know, the F flute is just the construction of it.
Yeah,
Right.
the way it latches together, yeah.
Well, it's the corrugated, basically, corrugation.
So that seems like progress, because otherwise that would be styrofoam, right?
That's what you said. Long time ago, yeah.
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 Yeah, so I don't, so a
We don't
number
have any
of,
styrofoam at all.
right, a number of the bulleted items I don't think are even outside the regulation, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Uncoated craft,
Yeah, if I may. So for all of them, all the hamburgers of the different kinds, whatever, things that are not wrapped in paper, because you have, some of them are wrapped in paper, would be the Filet-O-Fish, the Big Mac, the 10-piece nuggets, and large fries. They're all essentially the same, similar stuff. They're craft or bleached sulfate board. That's probably because of the heat and the oil
Yes.
on that particular one. It's going to be a little bit more sturdy than the paper ones that are going with the bun in between. So all that stuff is not styrofoam, obviously, and it's not any one of the numbers of the plastics. Right. So it's basically paper covered, but we do have it in our regulations that we can't have, I believe it is, what's the term we use, covered paper?
Yeah, but this says it's uncoated.
right, a number of them say.
Some of them say coated, some say one.
Yeah, there's,
Well, they do say, like one says bio-wax coated, so that would be fine.
Yep, that's a wrap.
The bioresin polypropylene,
What is that?
well, it's it's polypropylene.
I know what that is.
The bioresin just is some phrasing that suggests that it's derived from a.
But does that make it
Does it
POA?
suggest
No, it's,
properly
if
that
it says
it
poly,
is?
if it's polypropylene, it's polypropylene,
Okay.
so.
So that would need a variance.
That would
Right,
need a
so the
variance.
cold cup would, that's what I was trying to home in on, how many things here, actually, there's 2 cold cup sizes, and then the hot cups. But I think we already made allowance for
For lined
lined hot
hot
cups.
cups. 'Cause
So really, it's just the 2 cold cups, I think. When I looked at this, those are
Yeah,
the
the
2
30 and the
things.
60.
Yeah, the 2 things that I saw.
I mean,
So
these are probably not certified compostable.
polypropylene.
No, but
No,
even,
the other ones.
even the unbleached craft or this,
Or the bio-wax.
the
coated.
But I don't
SBS
think,
board.
do you have to certify
I can't remember.
wood resin, I mean, wood fibers as compostable? They just are.
Right, products made entirely of paper and wood that are not lined or coated, we did not say
Right,
needed
so
to
then-
be certified
Yeah.
compostable.
Right,
So that does reduce quite a bit.
yep,
Yeah,
It's the polypropylenes.
it's a polypropylene.
which is, there's 2.
Right, there's just
Yeah,
two clear
just
coat.
the cups.
The rest are okay under the current reg, right? They don't-
That's
none of
the
them
way
need
I
waivers.
see it.
Yeah, no, none of these needed waivers at, right, the lower level, the waiver as opposed to the variance, they're all set already by regulation.
Right,
That's
Right.
how I read it.
May I ask what a final restaurant participation exclusion list is?
The restaurants who are not participating in the promotional
Okay.
event. It's too late now.
Okay, so had you wanted to not participate in it, you would have had to say long before.
Like at least a year or 2 ago, yeah.
So again, to explain to the audience what's going on, this is actually the first variance request
It
we've
is.
seen under this the new regulation that requires the use of compostable materials in place of single-use disposable plastics. So that's why it's sort of we're kind of wandering around a little bit in this.
It's complicated and there's a lot of materials.
Right, and each facility will have unique challenges and products that we might not be aware of, so it'll take a little bit of time. But it does simplify it down to a pretty straightforward 2 cold cup scenario for a limited time emotional event.
And that's it on the whole letter, that's it, just those
In
2.
terms of variance,
In
yes.
terms of a variance, that's correct.
And Amy, are you aware of any easily available?
So the problem is there are alternatives, but if these have to be printed for the Monopoly game,
Yeah.
then they're provided by
Yeah.
McDonald's corporate,
Yeah.
and
Little
you
thing
can't
on it,
just
yeah.
roll out to,
Right.
a different vendor and buy something different.
Right.
So I do see it as they're limited to no options
Right.
available.
Do you want to make a motion?
Amy has to make all the motions tonight.
Yeah, I know.
I can try it.
No, I can give it a roll, our first one here.
I was going to say, do you have anything on the honors? It's really good.
Right, exciting. So finding that the 2 particular items discussed, the 30-ounce and 16-ounce clear cold cups constructed of bioresin polypropylene, are branded as promotional materials during a limited promotional event for which the franchisee has no other option. I move to grant this variance. That wasn't very well constructed, but
Do you want to specify for the cold cup
Grant
polypropylene?
this variance for the specified period of time of October 1st, 2025 through May 31st, 2026.
Okay.
Second.
Any other discussion? Go ahead, Scott.
Okay, so how about the lids? The general lids that they use day to day. Okay.
We don't have information on the lids that are used day to day.
That's the number 2.
Oh, number 2?
Number 2, beverage cup. I mean, that's the,
Okay.
so this is it lists as a variance request, but is it a waiver?
So maybe you want to finish that first decision? Or
That's
just-
first.
Yeah,
let's-
exactly, let's.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going through my mind racing about the million things that are on there to make sure.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Amy, did you specify, if we're going to discuss other things on here, did you specify the polypropylene, bioresin?
I did.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
Yes.
specified
Okay.
the 2 cups.
2 cups in the date
Okay.
range,
all right, do we have a second on that?
and it's been seconded.
We
It's been
did.
seconded, okay.
All in-
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, go ahead, Scott.
I'm just wondering how we want to handle the second, number 2, right?
Yeah, whether, is there
Beverage cups and lids.
beverage cups and lids, and the regulation says,
That waivers may be granted for the following products only, and resin codes 1, 2, and 5 in any color other than black. So that would be a variance, because it's number 5 plastic, non-black. Or sorry, that would be
A waiver.
a waiver covered item.
So I guess my question is, everybody uses plastic straws, plastic lids rather. So once we allow this here, we're going to allow it everywhere, because I'm not going to pick and choose which ones we allow and don't allow for plastic. So this is a number 5 plastic, that soft plastic that's on the...
Yeah, that's, I mean, we homed in on 1, 2, and 5 specifically because they were either the most reusable, recyclable, or the most commonly used plastics for the things that were very difficult to substitute out, like drink lids.
so, just if I might, these are all supplied by McDonald's, so, and McDonald's does not give you any other options. There's not, do you know of any?
We could do straws, those are an option,
Yeah.
but lids, not that I've ever seen.
Right, okay. I mean, we don't need to make any particular motion
No, we're just informing Scott
We
going
don't.
forward.
Yeah, just don't try to work it through.
Well, and just, this letter is a good first step to the due diligence process for waivers. There is a waiver form, and that's available through the website, right, Scott?
Yeah.
And it does ask that you provide some specifics on cost alternatives that you looked at, so take a look at that. And usually the waiver process, the intent is that you'll go through it with the health agent at the time of the inspection, because that's a time when they're in your facility, and you can say, hey, look at my dispenser area, here's where we're limited, or here's my product that I'm using, and here's why it's challenging to replace it. They can do a better job of that than we can here, not knowing what an effluted craft product might be. So just before that visit, it will behoove you to do that, complete that waiver form and do that due diligence, truly looking for alternatives and what those costs might be. Like, I know it's stated in the letter that it's cost prohibitive, but actually providing some examples of where you look for alternatives.
And would that be with just our regular visit, or would it be another visit?
It would be the normal inspection that I think usually happens between now and the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have Morgan, you're the person that emailed us today,
Yes.
right? I'll
Yes.
have Morgan email you tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
You guys will start a conversation through email.
And in your case,
And then,
it
yes, we
might
do
help.
inspections twice a year.
Okay.
Twice a year inspections.
It might also be helpful to reach out to McDonald's corporate just to get a correspondence from them saying, hey, here are our limitations in Falmouth, what do you have available? And make sure that they apprise you of any options or alternatives that they have.
Okay, anything else? Thanks for your work.
Thanks, and thanks
Yeah.
for coming early. That worked out great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're 5 minutes from public hearing time, actually 10, that clock is fast.
Oh, it is.
So, huh? Yeah, we can do minutes. Want to make a motion?
Motion to take the minutes out of order, minutes of September 15th.
Come on.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
The minutes are awesome.
Except, can I be Amy Wall, R-O-T-H?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I flip around a little bit in the minutes.
Oh, I definitely
Ross,
done that.
People always think I say Ross.
But it says it right there, so I have no excuse me.
Oh, that's no problem.
But I think I have you as Ross in this entire session minutes.
Every now and then I pop up as Ross, but
I'll fix that, no problem.
thank you. Oh, that might have been in the other set of minutes.
It's in the other set of minutes.
TH, yeah.
So, all right, we're looking at July, right?
No,
Oh,
he
we're looking at
was looking at
September.
he said September. We can do the other ones next.
Okay, whatever. I had no concerns about these minutes.
Only so you didn't have anything.
Thank goodness for 5 minutes waste.
Oh, wow. I really do compare.
On 640, it's at the time 640, 93 Regis. We identify who Doug Carson is so that Mr. McGann, he typically consults with Doug Carson. He must have a title with the Joint Base Cape Cod.
Also, I think that's spelled differently.
So with
Yeah, I think it is too.
640 93 Regis Road on the 15th.
Yes.
Okay, what's, I didn't.
Mr. McGann added about halfway down.
Okay,
He typically consults with Doug Carson at Carlson.
Carlson?
I'm not sure, but,
I don't know.
I think Jed's looking.
and he would have a title, so, you know, I mean, he could be, if somebody's reading the minutes, they might
I
say,
won't know who that
who's
is.
Doug Carlson?
Got it.
Right.
And when you do get the right answer, it shows up again in the motion. So,
Yep.
Why am I blanking on this? Yeah, it's Carson, K-A-R-S-O-N, Douglas,
Okay,
U.S. Air Force, it's the AFCEE, which is the Air Force Center for, oh no, they've changed the name, Engineering Excellence, I believe.
as long as he's identified as being some authority from the base that would know what they're
Right.
doing when they're,
He's
Yeah.
their,
public relations person, is he?
yeah, he's the I can't remember his title, that's why I'm thinking, he's been doing this for a long time.
I got an email from him, I'll get it.
Okay,
I said it was his
Where is he? He is the Community Involvement Lead for the Air Force Civil Engineering Center.
In the Regis Road, Jed, you might want to look at this and try to figure out what you were trying to convey. The last comment before the motion, Mr. Goldstone.
So, noted, Mr. Goldstone noted that the remediation pumping is for VOCs. They turned all of the wells off, but have returned them to service
For PFAS
for
capture.
PFAS
and
capture.
treatment. But then which?
And then you can just strike out the which do not necessarily flow the same way.
So the remediation pumping for VOCs turned off all the wells, but they were turned on again for?
They turned, yeah, all the wells off, and they returned them to service for PFAS.
the monitoring PFAS or
Remediation.
remediation?
are we
Yeah,
otherwise good with these?
I think so.
Motion to accept the minutes for September 15th, 2025 as amended.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now we got 2 minutes. We'll recess for 2 minutes. Wait. All right, we ready? Okay. Let's bring this public hearing of the Falmouth Board of Health to order, September 29th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. We're here to have our second meeting on our proposed update to our home rule regulation on septic systems to supplement Title V regulations from the state. The proposed regulation will require best available nitrogen-reducing technology to be installed on septic systems on properties located in nitrogen-sensitive areas as designated by the town that increase wastewater flow according to the definition of new construction in Title V. And we had a previous public hearing and received a lot of good feedback. And last board meeting, we discussed that feedback and incorporated very minor changes, including an update to our terminology for the designation of nitrogen-sensitive areas to distinguish from the already defined nitrogen-sensitive areas coming from the state. And what was the new term that we...
The Falmouth nitrogen-regulated areas.
Okay.
So throughout what you have in front of you, where you see the term nitrogen-sensitive area, replace that with Falmouth nitrogen-regulated area.
Okay. So do we have any comments or questions for
That's
the
basically the
audience?
whole town, right? Nitrogen-sensitive area, except for a little piece of Woods Hole.
It's not the whole
I've seen the
town.
map, it's pretty.
It covers a lot of it, yeah.
Almost it's like 99% of the town.
Well, we're a coastal town with seawater all
Sure.
around us, so, yeah.
I'd like to note that for those people who were not at our most recent discussion, or perhaps not at the previous hearing, the best available nitrogen-reducing technology is defined by the state and is to down to 10 milligrams per liter of nitrogen or less total nitrogen. The nitrogen-regulated areas that we have defined include those defined by the state as nitrogen-sensitive. We have added in the Great Sipawis Marsh District of Critical Planning Concern, also the watersheds determined submitted by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to the Clean Water Act, Section 303D report. And then what we particularly note due to the discussions and the comments from our previous hearing, we added the area covered by the Drinking Water Resource Protection Overlay Bylaw, which protects both the surface water and the drinking water wells. I'm going to have,
Go
Just a
ahead.
quick question.
Sorry, if you could state your
Warren
names.
Harlow Hawks, you had the DCPC, did you consider the ACEC and walk weight as well?
That's actually already covered
Okay.
because that is considered a nitrogen-sensitive area following the state. So,
Okay.
but while the Drinking Water Resource Protection Overlay, much of it around the wells is already covered by the nitrogen-sensitive areas. It was particularly the area upstream, up gradient of Long Pond that area encompasses, like the area of the high school and so forth. And that we would like to also protect because we just want to make sure the Long Pond is protected in the future.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
My name is Mike McGrath. I assume you're now ready to hear testimony, right? I can now speak.
You just keep it to 2 minutes, please.
All right. For the benefit of the audience, I built the first D9-compliant septic system in Massachusetts history, and boy, was I punished. You see, I proved that a DEP assumption was wrong. So basically, they put me out of business. And in fact, at one time, they told me that they wanted me to remove all 63 existing systems and replace them with a system that didn't work. So my attitude is I will never believe anything that DEP says. DEP has decreed that there's no such thing as attenuation in our soils. There is. There is attenuation of total nitrogen downstream from a septic system. And I referenced a study, a performance standard in the Chesapeake that basically says in 100 meters, 60% of the total nitrogen is lost. The soil bacteria are removing that nitrogen. It's gone off as free nitrogen. And the other thing that happens is that we also have recharge, and the recharge is, I think it's 26 inches approximately per year. So if you picture a football field, including the end zones, if you were to start and say one of them is the top of the water table, in 1 year it's gone down 2.1, 2.2 feet approximately. So what happens is that this is absolutely discriminatory, because if you look at the, you don't have a map here, right, that we can point to? If you look at the people that live on the north side of Hatchville, and some of these people have houses that I'm going to describe as generational houses, meaning they're very small ranches, or ranch-like structures, and they might be 80, 100 years old. You're going to end up telling them if they need a building permit to get another square foot, you have to replace the systems. And as far as I can see, the nitrogen will never reach that. If you take, and what I just described about, the loss of the 2 feet every football field, including the end zone, you stack them all the way up. Oftentimes you'd be below the estuaries. Now, a while ago, there was talk in Falmouth about having an outfall in the Buzzards Bay, and I spoke against it. And the Buzzards Bay Coalition said I was wrong. So the bottom line is I met with the Buzzards Bay Coalition, and they sent me some test data in the middle of Buzzards Bay that shows Buzzards Bay is healthy. The estuaries are stressed, but the bay itself is healthy. And yet I looked, there are some of these recharge areas that go into Buzzards Bay. And why would we say to people that live, you know, a long, long distance away that they have to build these $40,000 systems to protect a body that's not stressed? So as far as I'm concerned, you need to go back, and I made a suggestion in my last written testimony to cut these areas back sufficiently because they're absolutely discriminatory. I have a funny aspect of my life that most people wouldn't know is that I'm a practicing Roman Catholic, and what I do is I'm a backup usher, which means on Sundays I collect money by passing a basket back. And if you saw some of the people that we put the basket in front of them are old. Now, I'm 78, I'm calling them old, but no matter what, I can see them open their wallets, and they don't have any money, but they're giving half or a third into the basket. So you go up and look at the far end, north end of Hatchville, there's a lot of houses like this. So And you're gonna knock on the door and say to them, well, you're gonna screw up Buzzards Bay unless you put in a $40,000 system. The reason I'm making this number up is $22,200 for the one process I know that's being put in. They're supposed to have 3. I've told them outright, I will never do another ruck the way I've been treated. You wouldn't even answer a simple phone call. So I know that there's the nitros system, but I think you're almost creating a monopoly for this one system, unless you can show me some other systems. I've heard there's maybe Infodrome, but I haven't seen any real data from Infodrome. So I look at this as completely wrong. You need to fix it. You need to adjust it for attenuation. I know DEP doesn't believe in attenuation, so you listen to a decree. Guess what? Attenuation does exist. I found it underneath the soil absorbent system at the Cape Club. Now, that's
So you want to start wrapping up?
All right, that's all over 70 foot deep. At a tree, I'm discharging 5.7. 130 feet away, the total nitrogen is 3.7. We lost 30 to 33%. Now, according to regulatory science, in a tertiary treatment like that, what they would assume is 10 is reaching the groundwater. And it's not. So attenuation exists. I've lost 33% in 150 feet. So as far as I'm concerned, rewrite the regulation because it's absolutely discriminatory.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for all of your work on this subject and on the RUC system. It's important work. And
what do you know? Someone complimenting in a Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I've got compliments from Florida, California, several other states.
I studied nitrogen in groundwater as well, and there's a lot of logic to a lot of what you've said, but we can't continue to do very, very detailed research forever while the problem gets worse. And I think what the state and what the town has done is arrive at solutions that will solve the problem. Investigations, research can't continue, and it will. But we have to go with what we know now.
Dave Hill from Hatchville. I'm tiptoeing through a process of trying to get a permit to build an ADU. So my daughter has a place to go, but her landlord sells out from under her, right? Born and raised in Falmouth schools. Gainfully employed as a registered nurse, but has no hope of clawing her way into this crazy housing market. So I want to do something that'll give her a secure place to go. Mm-hmm. And as I go through this process, this elephant in the room, this septic business, keeps rearing its head. It's looking like I'm going to spend more on the septic upgrade than I am on the building. I think that's crazy. And I agree with a lot of what Michael said. I mean, 35 years, a retired geologist, worked on the base cleanup for 35 years, right? I know about the attenuation, I know about groundwater velocities. I'll never live to see the benefit. And 90% of the people in this room won't either. These best available nitrogen reducing technology. To me, that's a fancy word for a sewer and a sewage treatment plant. But since I'm not in a sewer district, I get to bury a sewage treatment plant in my backyard, eat the cost up front. There's no program I'm aware of that'll allow me to do it as a 20-year betterment, like the sewer districts have. So it's onerous, it's prohibitive, just to get myself in a position to allow my daughter to stay on the Cape, which she wants to do. And the way things are going, she's going to end up in a cornfield in Iowa just to find affordable housing. We're not doing this in a vacuum, right? This is a town, we have multiple issues. Nitrogen, in my opinion, is not an emergency. I think we're being hasty, we're heading headlong into uncharted territory. We don't know if these systems work. And if they don't, the testing I'm aware of, a lot of it, very high percentage of it fails. to 10 microgram per liter. And then what do? You invite someone into your home, check all your connections, your faucets. It's very invasive on your privacy, and let alone the testing costs. How do we know these work? Are the companies that offer them for sale, are they bonded in case there's a massive failure of their technology? I don't know. I'm just getting into this. I didn't spend my life. I'm not a builder. I'm not conveying the cost of this to a buyer. I'm absorbing it myself, and I'm retired. And it's onerous, this regulation, and I think you're being hasty by adopting it, if you do. And I recommend you don't. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. So I'm going to defer any of the questions about testing to George. He's going to answer that. The questions about costs are ones that need to go to a higher authority than us, which would be the select board and town meeting. And I'm going to channel Dr. George Topolos, who's not here, we very much recognize the fact that this costs money.
It's a lot of money.
And we've talked about it repeatedly. We very much understand. One thing that I think the audience needs to recognize, and we've talked about, is the fact that we are paying now for pollution that we've done over the last 50 or 60 years. So we have not had the technology to address that readily until maybe about 15 or 20 years ago. But we are paying now for things that
we'll never see the benefit of.
And unfortunately, there are people who, if you don't live right next to the water, you're not going to look out. But if you use the ponds, we already know that the sewer, and it is sewer, not IA, but in this case, the sewer is having a measurable, real effect on Little Pond. And the Water Quality Management Committee has been supporting the research in that, I don't know whether you want to invite them to comment on this, but I've seen the data, and despite the fact that we know that there are errors baked into the way the TMDLs were calculated, the model is wrong. It turns out from the data that I've seen that the errors are offsetting, and the data seems to fit the model predictions, which is kind of remarkable, but
you're talking about the sewers and the peninsulas?
I'm talking about the sewers and the peninsulas.
Yeah,
So sewer obviously is 100% removal of nitrogen. We are talking about,
I mean, you sewer the whole town, I think the problem's solved.
The challenge is, yeah. So this is a step. In terms of there are, besides the select board, you can also appeal to the state for support, which we would, I think
you should wait for something to be implemented before you adopt this regulation, because it's onerous on us folks who aren't in the sewer district. I'm sorry for speaking out of turn.
Did you say your name again?
Dave Hill.
Do you want to address the ADUs specifically, since that was, ADUs are only captured under this regulation if there is an actual increase in flow. So an added bedroom in an ADU would pull it under here. But if you decreased a bedroom in the primary residence and you built an ADU, it would not fall under this regulation.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
So if you have a 4-bedroom house, you said, I want to make a place for my daughter, and you want a 2-bedroom for your daughter, or a 1-bedroom, which is kind of what I did for the old folks who want to retire. And if you take one out of your house, you can build that ADU without having
increased flow. Yeah, I guess that isn't entirely clear based on what I've been reading and hearing.
So that was a more recent change, and so the version you looked at might not have had that in it, but that is something that we clarified recently.
Yeah, so back in 2018, we had a town ADU bylaw that required denitrification. So the state said that you can't treat ADUs any different you would any other bedroom. So they're now being clumped in as regular, as they would be with any bedroom increase, ADU, or just adding a bedroom in the house. So if you're not net increasing the bedrooms, you can float bedrooms anywhere you want on your property without having to do the D-night. And also, your leach field should already be sized for the number of bedrooms that's there anyway, so you're not adding. So that is the option that most people take when they come to see me to talk about an ADU, is using the option that's taken.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's actually not, that's a part of this that I didn't, that's one of the changes that we made to clarify in response to our first hearing, was that, you know,
Even if detached.
new construction shall only include an ADU if there is an increase in actual or design flow to the property. So
whether it's
Yeah.
attached to the
I think I
house,
did catch that in
integral,
here, yeah.
or
Sorry.
separate, it can be a standalone structure or integrated into the home. The only trigger in is the increase in flow, which is 5
Mhm.
bedrooms.
Right, by bedroom. Understood.
Ed Jalowick, I am a member of the Water Quality Management Committee, but I am speaking only as an individual. But just to provide some information to those that are paying attention to this issue in this hearing, first of all, the gentleman mentioned how do we know they work? When the state approves a system, it requires a certain number of years of performance to standard by a certain number of houses. For general use approval, and the nitric system expects approval by year end of 2025, they have to have 50 houses for 3 years, and the data with quarterly testing needs to show it's meeting that performance of what they're being certified for. So in this case, 10 milligrams per liter, 50 houses have to do it for 3 years straight to get that approval by the state to qualify under this regulation. They have had those systems in operation for close to 15 years in other states, including Massachusetts, but they have at least the 50 already installed for the past 3 years. So that's, I think, should help to address your concern about do these damn things work. They are expensive, but the way the state tax code is currently written, income tax credit for a resident, a house that you own, should you install this system under a mandate from the Board of Health to meet a nitrogen issue, call it a crisis because it is, if that is decreed by this board, and that's what they're looking to do, you will be eligible for up to $18,000 tax credit over a 6-year period to a maximum of 60% of the cost of the system. That's a pretty good subsidy. $18,000, you have to be paying state taxes to get it. But that would pay for close to half, if not more than half, of the average simple installation of an IA module on a working Title V system. So I hope that helps to clarify some of the things that are important to consider as you look at this regulation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a client that put in basically a wood chip barrier, and he did it ad hoc. He had a denitrifying system. And one of the things that I've been talking to a scientist is that over time, the observations show that it's doing better and better and better time. One of the things that most environmental engineers are used to is design plants where the detention time is maybe a day, but what happens in something like this that's buried and is vented, it takes a long time for the carbon to become available. So at some point, I'm trying to get the MBL scientists out there to look, because it's gotten better and better and better over time. So what I have said is that we need to build more of these wood chip barriers, because they do them all the time in Long Island, and they're showing over 90% reduction of total nitrogen from all sources. So what you have to be careful of is that you don't put something in place that doesn't fit your exact box, but actually removes a lot of nitrogen. And again, I was put out of business because a competitor discharged 36. Remember I said don't trust DEP? I asked DEP, why don't you enforce the discharge limit? There's nothing in our regulation that allows us to enforce that. So they put me out of business. And you should see what I'm doing. I'm taking out PFOs and PFAs and a TRIA. And that's what we should be focused on. I've had a relative die from a strange disease, and there's been now connections to PFOs and PFAs.
Okay,
And you won't get them.
we're getting off topic, though.
Well,
Thank you for
But
the
you
comment.
should be focused on that, not
Go ahead.
GM.
So a positive thing from Mike McGrath, they are proposing to put a reactive barrier along Nashawina Street to capture the nitrogen coming from the wastewater plant. And hopefully that'll, once they put that permeable barrier in. But of course, that just is, it's a very simple project. It's just the funding, and that's the hard part. Like everything, you know, it's just, they've got to get the funding, so we're hoping that moves forward. It'll be a huge benefit to what's been contaminating West Falmouth Harbor. I had one quick question for all of you. How many of you have read a contract from Clean 2? I'm going to give you one.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going to do that is I think I don't think anybody's against improving the environment, reducing nitrogen. You know, we see it everywhere. You know, we see people fertilizing their lawns. They've been watering their lawns all summer. You know, stormwater runoff. I mean, we have a million issues, not a million, but a lot of issues that are impacting the nitrogen going into our harbors, our embayments, and everything else. Where this is just the tip of the iceberg of trying to tackle it right now. Stormwater runoff is huge. When I watch dogs go down my street and all morning long, and when I have my little bags that I water my trees, and there's more dog urine on them than there is water in the bag. And I say, well, are we going to start regulating dog urine? You know, because, I mean, I'm just being, you know, that's where everybody gets a little cranked up about government overstepping or implementing these very expensive. I mean, I know Ed just said you can get a grant and over so many years. I'll be dead by the time I get my tax credits when I put mine in. I just think that the cost is scaring the living daylights out of people. It's a total one company market. That's the other thing that's very disturbing. And again, I keep saying, I hope this will open up the floodgates once they start to see that there's a lot of fruit on these trees. Yep. But if it doesn't, I have a letter right here from Clean 2 that says once they get total, you know, permitting, that the price is going to go up. So that to me just says, you know, are we just going to like gouge people because you're the only show in town? And I don't think that's fair to. And I'm not going to say Hatchville, it can be anybody in any part of town, that this is a big financial impact. And I know it's only for new construction, as she keeps reminding me. So if you're going to build a new house, but that's, I think, another thing. There are so many young people, old people, middle class, everybody that would like to build a home. And this is a $40,000 hit. And I have my grandson, he just went to the bank and got pre-approved. And then once he found out he was in the new nitrogen sensitive area, the bank said, sorry, take a hike. That's another 40 grand and you don't qualify. You can't afford to put the septic system in. So it is a human factor here. It's not just a nitrogen factor. But I'm going to give you a contract. And it'll not just make you smile or cry or say, wow, that this is, you guys have your agenda that you're doing, which is nitrogen. They have their corporate capitalist attack on us. And I know that they did a lot of research and development to do this you know, Clean 2, and I'm not begrudging them that. It's just the fact that now you're basically making them really rich. And I really hope you read it because, and I made a mess of it, but because I vent when I read things and I write side notes, so you might be disturbed.
Thanks for that,
Yeah.
but I'm curious, I want to follow up. Do you support this change to the regulation?
I support the change to the regulation, I just think we need more options to pick from. Because I don't want to go to a store in Russia and have one loaf of bread that I can pick. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm feeling like right now, is that we just
Yeah.
have nitro.
Yeah.
So, if I might, so this is a question perhaps also for George, but what is delaying other systems? Is it the DEP certification process?
Yeah, it's
So
expensive.
in that case, I would suggest that everybody email your state representative and request that the state representatives or the state senators talk to DEP on your behalf. Because we can write letters, but we are very often ignored. But if enough people who are concerned about the cost of this, because it's becoming a monopolistic thing due to the slowness of the DEP, then putting pressure on the DEP through our elected representatives is probably more effective.
I agree 100%.
Yeah,
And I'm not-
it's a good idea.
Yeah, it is a very good idea, and I've already been doing it, but, you know, it's,
Then-
one voice is,
Oh, I know, but if there's collective voices, then
I
there'll
thought
be
your
some-
letter had more power than mine.
Probably not.
Maybe less. Hi,
Hi.
Elizabeth Blackburn, North Falmouth. I just wanted to comment on what Mr. Goldstone has said a few times, and that is, I feel like you're putting the cart before the horse. I think the residents have a right to know accurate costs. I think a big burden is being put on them. You know, not everyone, I think low-income households will probably get some sort of assistance with the cost, and then the Falmouth area has multimillionaires with, you know, multi-million-dollar homes. The rest of us are just regular people, retirees on fixed incomes, or, you know, people with moderate incomes. It's just a lot to put on them to say the Board of Health doesn't get involved in the cost, that you're going to approve it, and then it's up to us to contact selectmen and so forth about the cost. I just would hope you would consider that maybe you should delay your vote so that all that can be worked out beforehand, so that this burden doesn't go to the public before, you know, and let me just say one more thing. The gentleman said that the system has been proven. I've been to both meetings, and several people said the system is, quote, better than it used to be. And that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, you know, especially when the burden is on the property owner to install it, to have periodic testing done to make sure that it's operating correctly. And then if it fails, it's up to the homeowner to deal with that. It's just a lot. And I just think, although this board doesn't deal with cost, I would hope you'd be cognizant of the fact that this is a huge thing for the residents. Thank you.
If I might point out, again, this is for new flow. This is if you're building a new house, if you're putting on a new bedroom.
But a lot of people are.
And then this is an additional cost on adding, on building a new house.
A
Yes, we
significant
acknowledge that.
cost.
But it is not at the moment, we're not talking about requiring everybody who is not going to be sewered but who is in a nitrogen-sensitive area to replace their current septic systems if they are not adding flow. But I do want to recognize that that may occur
Yeah.
sometime in the next 10, 20 years. And that's not, this is maybe, our estimates were what, 100 to 150 systems a year?
Up to 100, I would
Up to
suggest.
100, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
At the
We-
previous meeting, it was also mentioned that if the sewer system becomes available to you and you've already done this IA system, that you wouldn't have to hook up to it for several years, but that you would have to pay the betterment fee. that's yet another cost. I mean, there are a lot of costs that this, a traditional septic system is a lot different than what is being proposed here.
We do recognize that, and as I said, we are now paying for the last 50 years of pollution.
I mean, there's no sense in which we're rushing. This is not like something we just discovered as a problem and we've decided to do something rash about it. This has been known since the 1970s as a problem. So we're talking over 50 years. People have spent multiple careers studying this problem. It's very well known, and Falmouth, it should have sewered when the federal government was paying 90 cents on the dollar for sewers. It didn't. So we have, decades and decades of accumulated pollution, and that pollution goes right to our estuaries, which are, to a significant degree, the lifeblood of our economy. So it is an emergency. We have to do something. Go ahead.
My name is Steve Layton. I'm just speaking as an individual, not in my capacity as a member of the Water Quality Committee. It's my understanding that there are about 23,000 properties in Falmouth, that the stored areas will eventually be about 5,000 of those, and the IA properties, which would be required to meet the DEP requirement, the TMDLs, are about 8,000. So 8,000 plus 5,000 is 13,000, a little bit more than half. But your map looks like it's more like 90%, just intuitively looking at the map, not counting anything, of the properties are going to be required. Of course, you're going to say you're only requiring the new construction, but you're going to be putting it on properties that I think the Water Quality Committee would never think would be required to meet the TMDLs. So I was be curious to hear what your thinking is about that.
Go ahead. Yeah, more?
But it's unrelated. If you want me to put both questions out first, or if you want to do them one at a time.
I mean, my first reaction to that is what we're talking about is new flow. So if the Water Quality Management Committee is looking at what's here now and they're making decisions about which properties...
But they're taking into account build-out, possible build-out.
Okay.
You can do that mathematically.
Yeah, sure.
Because there are only so many vacant lots.
Yeah.
Increase in flow is not limited to a currently vacant lot, though.
You can still make estimates.
So we can amend these maps. We would have another hearing, and in the case of the, when the actual watershed plans are approved that delineate where systems would need to be required, then we absolutely can amend any of our regulations, not quite at any time because we require hearings and postings, but absolutely it is something for us to consider. But until those watershed plans are more firmly established, I think this is our first pass.
Okay.
At preventing the problem from getting worse.
Right.
That's the idea.
That's a good transition to my second question,
Yeah.
which is, it's my understanding, there are people here who would know more accurately than I, that we will know that within a year. Maybe less than a year. So you might want to consider waiting for that, or make a change in a year. Because my second point is, in line with what the lady in the back row was saying, your section, your paragraph 3 on exception for new construction in a future sewer service area only covers sewer service areas that had passed town meeting and everything. Even though within a year, we're going to know, actually we know now within 20%, and within a year we're going to know exactly what the sewer areas are going to be. If town meeting and the select board don't approve them, down the road when they have to, they're going to be huge problems for the town. It's only reasonable to assume that they will occur. And my way of looking at the numbers are, you're only proposing to put in 100 per year. Within 10 years, we're going to have to be putting them in much faster than that anyway. So all you're really doing is a pilot project. It's not going to have any measurable effect on the nitrogen until we start doing it at scale. And
Right,
so
so-
if you eliminate the double billing of the people who are going to have sewers, then you're only going to have a 22% change, taking 13% down to 10% of what you're doing as a fraction of what the town has to do. So it's negligible in terms of the science and in terms of the effect of the nitrogen, but it double bills people and it's not negligible to them. That's a 100% increase. And
So there's a lot in there. You just said a lot of things. And I don't agree with several of them, but I don't think I can necessarily remember all of them. But sorry?
The timing is big.
Right.
Yeah, we'll know where the sewers are. Will they be there 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? And if it's 15 years out, if it's 10 years out, so we wait 10 years before we do anything?
just for those people.
For
Well,
10
that's
years?
everyone.
No, it's just a sewer area.
So I would actually argue, however, that I will not trust the future town meetings, even though I am a member of town meeting. Because in 1982, the town was offered for the federal government to pay 90% of a sewer system in Falmouth. And town meeting said no, and it is now costing us immensely more money than town meeting thought they were going to be saving at the time. And so I do not completely trust future town meetings. And so this exception for the new construction of your sewer service area is explicitly at the request of the wastewater superintendent, who has pointed out that you can't guarantee that you will actually construct a sewer on any particular timescale until it is actually approved.
That's in theory true, but if you go that route, you're only doing 100 a year. That's peanuts.
Well,
It's going
but
to take
the
80
thing
years
is,
to do 8,000 units.
realistically, we don't necessarily even think we have the capacity to do 50 a year. And so if we do 100 a year, there's enough incentive to people to start putting them in. There will hopefully be enough incentive to start producing new types of systems and having new companies come into this process. Yeah, we can't, if we were to say, in the next year, you need to build 1,000 IA systems, there's no way that could ever happen. So
Right,
we're trying to
which
be.
seems to be what you're suggesting. Well, let's wait, and then in a few years, we'll put in 6,000, which is completely unrealistic. This gives us a very gradual ramp up. It begins to spin up the industries. It provides the impetus for new technological developments and new companies to come in with competing systems. It does all of those things. And ultimately, I mean, we're talking about timescales of 20, 25 years, probably more than 25 years to complete these
But not
plans, right?
80.
In 25 years, in this case, we'd have about 2,500 systems, which is a pretty big chunk of the number of systems that we're going to need. And to my understanding, the Water Quality Management Committee has not decided that we have 8,000 IA systems needed and 5,000 sewer, that there's still a lot of discussion about what that proportion is going to be. So last number we heard was more like 6,000 or 7,000 IA systems. So this would be a pretty big chunk of that across the time interval of these treatment plans, 25 years.
I'm going to stand because my back hurts. Ed Jalowick again. A couple of points, to what Steve had said and what you've said, Kevin. Yes, it's going to take years to do this planning. If we don't get permission and funding to build the outfall pipe, which is going to be necessary for us to do any sewering beyond Great Pond Phase 1. And the outfall pipe is realistically probably 7 years away, best, between permitting, funding, et cetera, and actual construction. Then we can really say, okay, now we've got a design for the next phase, Great Pond Phase 2. That horizon's getting pretty darn long. Mike McGrath mentioned his age. I'm about the same age as Mike. I'm not going to see this, but I'd sure like to leave something better for this town than what we currently have. A couple of things to remember, you know, the watershed plans that our committee is starting to formulate. The first one is due a year from now, and then another one a year after that. We're talking a 5-year horizon before those plans are submitted to the state, and then they're a live document. They're not carved in concrete, and that never can change. They will change depending on, is it working, what the state decides, and the state is the all-powerful dog in this fight. Remember that the reason we're here now is the state has said if you don't make these plans and start doing something, every house in the whole town will require an IA within 5 years. The industry can't support it. The money's not there in anybody's pocket to do it. People wouldn't be able to do it fast enough. But that was the hammer from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Do something, have your plans, and start implementing, and show us progress, or you will be mandated to do everyone in town. Some towns are still wrestling with that decision. Bourne keeps going back and forth whether to say, the hell with it, everybody's got to do an IA, or come up with a plan. Remember, too, that Falmouth is not the only town in the southeast of Massachusetts addressing IA mandates. Martha's Vineyard, Tisbury, and Oak Bluffs have had a mandate on the books for about a year now. I think it's 1,500 houses have to put them in, whether it's new construction, increased flow, and a transfer of title. You sell your house, somebody's got to put in an IA before the deed is approved. Much more stringent and onerous mandate. Wellfleet, Eastham, Dennis, Orleans, all of those towns already either have a mandate or will soon. Mashpee has one. If you're within 1,000 feet of a surface water body, you have to put in an IA. Last thing I'd say is concern about one company performing. Yes, they're the one that's closest to general use approval. They are currently operating what's called conditional approval. They had to do a certain number of houses under the piloting level. Your regulation very wisely says if it's got that 10 milligram per liter performance, whether it's piloting, conditional, or general use, it's okay under this regulation. And Nitro is very close to getting general. Nitrex, another company with similar technologies, Lombardo Associates, has the same performance levels. And there are several other systems that are back at the piloting queue to start trying it. So this won't be a one-man show for very long.
Yeah.
Talking to the owner of Nitro, Clean 2 Technologies, at a hearing recently, he's putting in about 100 systems a year. He's anxious and got his plans in place to start ramping up. But that's all he's doing. We add another 100, he's going to ramp it up. He's working with his sub-suppliers for the castings. So he actually projected the cost would go down. That's it.
Thanks, I appreciate that, and it is a good point. I mean, we here in this discussion, which has been quite protracted discussion, we've had many meetings on this. We originally had plans to do something that would have required IAs for a lot more circumstances, like what you're talking about, transfer of title and other kinds of things. But we had members of the public here who helped us talk through it, and we pulled back to something that's less intensive and will require fewer systems than a lot of these other towns have already done. So this is not sudden or extreme in any way. This is very, very small step, and frustratingly small to some people, which I think means we're hitting a compromise that maybe is okay.
I just have a question that, I'm sorry if you've already addressed it before, but a traditional septic system, if it's functioning properly, does that still leach nitrogen, or if it's working properly, is it?
It's a good question. Yeah, they don't remove very much nitrogen, even if they're functioning well. Yeah.
Because I was just going to ask if you know, the town looked at residences with older septic systems, if they'd be required to test them and then replace them with like a tried and true old-fashioned septic system, but you're saying that wouldn't solve the problem.
Exactly, yeah. The tried and true systems they're just made for removing organisms that would cause disease. They don't really help much for the nitrogen.
Thank you.
Corin Peterson on behalf of the Buzzards Bay Coalition. So the town of Falmouth is pursuing a huge investment in expanding their sewer collection system in order to remove wastewater and to improve water quality. The Water Quality Management Committee is spending a lot of time on their watershed management plans, which you have about 15 estuaries that need a plan. It's going to take the town about 15 years to get all their plans done. The reason why the town is pursuing all of this investment in wastewater is because of the decades of traditional septic systems that have been installed that do not treat. They are not designed to treat for nitrogen. And so for decades, we have been contributing nitrogen to our estuaries. Our estuaries no longer meet state standards, and now the town is compelled to make this investment. The Buzzards Bay Coalition applauds the board for taking this step to stop a really bad problem from getting worse. So this applies to new construction, new flow. It's not continuing to put in a conventional septic system, which is going to add nitrogen and undo the really valuable investment the town is pursuing today. So we want to control those new sources. The town is not going to have an answer for every estuary tomorrow. It's going to take another couple of decades to get there. We don't want to contribute 2 more decades of nitrogen from septic systems. So with that, the Buzzards Bay Coalition supports this regulation and urges you to vote it.
Thank you. And it's worth adding to that, it's worth mentioning too that the nitrogen problem is worse than it looks right now, because most of the nitrogen takes years to go from the septic system to the estuary. So as we continue to load and load and load, there's this big lag in terms of when that actually shows up at the estuary. So as the population has grown, number of septic systems has grown, we've built up this pool of nitrogen in all of the groundwater systems that are draining to all of the estuaries. So yeah, if we don't stop growing that pool, it will continue to get worse for decades. Even as we spend a lot of money to reduce the inputs. So.
My name is John Kaufman. I'm also on the Water Quality Committee, but I'm speaking as a private citizen. And I wanted to build on Ed's discussion about the existing state Title V septic tax credit. It's nice, it's $18,000 of potential savings, but it discriminates against sort of low middle income people because it's non-refundable. You have to owe the state money to claim the tax. So that has been recognized, and we've worked with David Vieira, who has now submitted a bill to the Massachusetts legislature. It's H4082, that is titled Towards a Refundable Septic Tax Credit, which would make, essentially, if you have any expenses that qualify and all the IA stuff that we're talking about today, would qualify, then you would get reimbursed for that cost regardless of what you would owe the state in taxes. So for people making $40,000 a year, they're never going to be able to reach that $4,000 a year limit that you can claim. This would take care of that. In addition, it would help the homeowners who are only part-time, which would allow them to do a non-refundable tax credit claim. So there's mechanisms being advanced. Unfortunately, they advance very slowly. It's stuck in committee now. It's in the Joint Committee on Revenue, this particular bill. When and how fast it advances, whether it has a shot of passing, I think it's premature to tell. But hopefully, the state will recognize that this is going to be a significant burden on many people, not just the millionaires who have no problem with this, but the common people in the lower middle income levels that are going to be forced to pay the same amount and would struggle to do so. So I'm hopeful that something will happen in the next couple of years on that front.
That's important. Thank you. And it'd be very good if we could get notification of when it would be good to write letters or make phone calls to representatives to help them pass.
I found them really responsive and helpful. You know, I met with Vieira, I've met with Dylan Fernandez, and they're super supportive of this. And as I say, David has pushed it through to the point now it's advancing. It's in committee, and it just takes a long time for the wheels of the legislature to move things along, but hopefully in the not too distant future. And yeah, we may be looking for letters of support that could be submitted to the Committee on Revenue, the Joint Committee, that would help them, because they can do a thumbs down early on in the process, and you know, it won't go anywhere. So the more support we can get, the better.
Thank you.
I totally support what John is doing on that. I only take issue with one small thing that may be confusing. He used the word all. John is not corrected. There's still the 18,000 and 60% caps.
Yeah, as I said, 18,000, you can use that against offsetting,
but
not the total cost. Yeah.
It's not the total cost.
No.
Thank you. In the back, on the left? Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Maggie McGough from Wacoit, and the Citizens for the Protection of Wacoit Bay, and I want to speak in support of this change to the health code. I think is very important, and I've attended a lot of meetings and seen how hard you have worked on this and how many people, you know, residents of the town you have heard speak in connection with it. Wacoit Bay experienced an enormous algal mat problem in May of this year, covering the bay from east to west and almost the full north to south extent of the bay. It was a carpet of algae, and it was a wake-up call to the town that, you know, Wacoit Bay really needs attention. We think this is a very important step to take to stop the increase, you know, new flow. But in connection with questions about expense and, you know, limited options for IA systems, I think it is also extremely important, and this is not really your problem, but I think it's important for people in the town to speak up about urine diversion, about composting toilets, about wastewater management, all of the other things that are impacting the water quality in the town, and advocate for other options for nitrogen reduction in home residential wastewater systems, because those other systems are going to be significantly less expensive and remove large amounts of nitrogen. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Kim Comart from the Falmouth Pond Coalition. I'm going to say some of what I said at your hearing at the Senior Center, but I'll try not to repeat it too much. The Falmouth Pond Coalition strongly supports this regulation. As Corin's been saying and other people have been saying, we have to stop digging the hole. And this is a first step to stop digging the hole. As you responded to this woman over here, these systems, these best Title V systems, don't treat nitrogen, they don't treat phosphorus. I'll put in a plug again for, as you are incentivizing the industry to develop systems that also treat phosphorus. I brought we had our worst cyanobacteria bloom in 20 years last Thursday on my pond, Deep Pond. It's terrible. I have photos of it. I brought a jar of green sludge to George on Friday for him to put under his microscope. As you noted, even if everyone were to switch to IA systems tomorrow and we sewer the whole town, whatever, we have a huge amount of nitrogen and phosphorus that is flowing to our ponds and flowing to our waters. This is an emergency. And yeah, for the town to install 7,000 IA septic systems, 250 days a year, which is about the amount of working days a year, that's 28 years. We do 2 a day, that's 14 years. So we don't have, we got to stop digging the hole. We got to be aggressive about it. The tax credit work is great. The stuff Jonathan Kaufman just talked about is really important. But we're all for this, and we really applaud your efforts, and thank you for it.
Thank you.
Anything else? Very much appreciate all the participation. Very
Before
important.
we close this, we have to note we're updating the other parts of FHR-15, basically just to bring them into line with the 10 milligrams of nitrogen, 10 milligrams per liter of total nitrogen, and then also note that the North American vertical data maybe that we list as the current one is 1988, but there's a theoretical possibility of it being updated in 2026, I think, to change the assumed level of groundwater. So that's just minor things that I need to note for the record.
Go ahead.
Can you tell us when you'll be voting on this, and if you approve it, when you think it would be, what an implementation date would be?
It's a good question. We talked about that last meeting, and we can if somebody makes a motion. Sorry, Scott?
Is that for your next meeting? I'm sorry.
We could vote right now, it's my understanding.
If you close the hearing, you could vote now, or you could, you'd have to close the hearing. I don't know if there's a time frame, honestly. I don't. So you gotta close the hearing, but then you can vote at any point after that. I don't know what that.
Since he doesn't have a clean copy, and you guys haven't seen, we talked about the clean copy, but I apologize. I thought I had gotten it to him right after the last meeting. We could close the hearing and then vote on it next meeting. But it's up to, you're the chair, so.
Talk about the implementation timeframe.
And then the implementation.
Yeah, well, let's do that.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can do that. Sorry, talk about the implementation timeframe before we close the hearing.
Yeah. Which we did discuss last meeting, and I'm hoping somebody else remembers when we decided to do that.
November 1st?
You said November. You said you were thinking about voting on it with your October meeting and implementing it by November 1st is what you
Yeah,
decided.
that's right.
You didn't say what year though.
Okay.
So our next meeting is the 20th,
Yeah.
and
That would be really tight.
that would be tight, so we could go to November 15th.
Yeah.
That would be about the same thing. If we had decided to vote on it tonight, then November 1st would be terrible. But if we're waiting to the 20th to call it on November 15th.
Mhm.
November 15th is a Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
Well, that's actually pretty clean.
Because there's nothing happening that day.
Give me the weekend to go through every building permit, the 610 that go on
November
November 14th. Yeah, so that would
Not
work.
forgetting that
actually.
the 11th is a holiday.
Okay. Anything else? Thanks everyone for your participation. We're going to now close
Do you need a motion?
this hearing. Yeah, do you have a motion?
Motion to close the hearing on modifications to the septic system regulations.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
All your work.
Thank you.